everything they hear on the 6 o'clock news. Don't believe everything they read in the New York Times. Since December the 27th, the United States of America backed atrocity that has been carried out against the Palestinian people has murdered over 800 people.
It's a revolution in progress.
You already know, son.
Change of the weather.
What up, Stick?
Stick man, dead prayers.
What up, K West?
Marcel,
It's
you know what it is.
No question.
And if you know what's going on,
What's up? RBG for life.
83. Universal law, yeah. Ain't nothing more gangster than the revolution. Most you fake rap dudes, it's prostitute.
from Harlem
But if you try
to
to
Gaza,
understand it,
we're all Palestinians.
not confused or misguided. My vision is clear. An idealist, realist who persevere. Rupture with that red, white, and blue shit. American nightmare, of course it ain't fair. Life's what we make it. We decide if we gon' be liberated or we all gon' die. Somebody told me Dead Prez was racist. I told him he didn't understand the basis for the world we live in. Oppressors and oppressed, haves and have-nots, the economics. The capitalists who birthed racism won't be a change to reparations. A given, the tide is turning, weather is changing. Whole damn system is rearranging. Power we need, do it for all seeds. Next generation, we all should take heed. The tide is turning, weather is changing. Whole damn system.
Those are our people. The people finding themselves the targets of F-16, Apache helicopters, a nuclear arsenal. Those are our people. Those are our people.
My name is Will Reese and I'm with the Revolution Club. And we're here today to say from Harlem to Gaza, we're all Palestinians. The people that are being murdered by this government in Palestine right now are the brothers and sisters of people in Harlem, are people that need to be spoke up for, and there needs to be widespread, deep resistance against what the United States and Israel is doing to Palestinians right now.
Well, the State of Israel was created in 1948. By a UN mandate. But people need to find out the history of Zionism. This was a movement that happened around the turn of the century. Jews were persecuted people in Europe, right? But many Jews at the time were active in the revolutionary and socialist movements in Europe to fight for justice in those countries, to fight for part of revolutionary and socialist movements. Zionism was a movement that disagreed with that. That said, no, you're not going to rise up and change the conditions of people, be part of transforming and fighting for liberation and revolution. We need to go and have our own land. And they were very clear that that meant they were going to hook themselves up to various different colonial powers. At that time was Britain.
Israel is the United States attack dog in that region of the world.
Right.
And Obama has made it very clear that he will arm Israel to the teeth, that Israel's security is a great concern of his government. He's a part of the U.S. imperialist system. We don't expect anything different from than that.
Well,
the point is that people need not be fooled by Obama and what Obama stands for. He's not at all confused about what he stands for.
You think he's changed since after the election?
I don't think he's changed at all. He was running for head of the plantation before the election. Now he's head of the plantation. It's still a plantation system. He knows that. The question is, are we going to understand that?
So what do you think people need to do?
Resist, and prepare to make a revolution. That's what people need to do. People need to understand where this is coming from, and people need to do everything they can to stop this and to get rid of this system that's responsible for this. That's what we need to do. We need to start lifting our heads, lifting our vision, and start saying no to this.
We'll become, this is a quote from Theodore Herzl, who says, we will be like an Ulster in that land. This was people are familiar with Ulster was the British outpost in Ireland. This was a colonial project that happened around the turn of this century, but particularly after World War II, as part of Western imperialists, and particularly U.S. imperialists, need to control that region. The U.S. government does not give a damn about Jewish people. This is not about persecution against Jewish people. It's nothing to do with this. Right? In fact, people should know the history. This government did nothing to stop the horrific genocide against Jewish people that was going on in Europe.
That is what has been going on. Do not believe the stories that it began yesterday or began last week. You got to know this history. You got to know where all this is coming from. You got to understand that Israel, with support from the United States and Egypt, has been blockading Gaza for 18 months.
It's called Dix, and you're with the
Revolutionary Communist Party.
And can you just give me an idea of what your background is and how did you get involved with this movement?
Well, I'm a 60-year-old black man. Back in the 60s, I got drafted into the Army. They gave me a gun and said, go over to Vietnam and kill some Vietnamese for us. And I didn't want to do that because I knew the Vietnamese was killing back. But I also had to know what was right and what was wrong. And what I found out was that the U.S. was wrong in Vietnam, that they were trying to drown the people's revolutionary struggle over there in blood and use me to do that. And that as a black man who could see kids younger than me getting dogs sicked on them for marching for the right to vote, I said I ain't got no business going somewhere else and fighting some other people for this government.
So ever since then, your life been changed?
Oh, that changed my life. I ended up going to jail instead of going to Vietnam because I was already in the military. But while I was in jail, I became a revolutionary because I could see that this government was messing over the whole world for the profit of a handful of rich people. And that all of us had the same enemy and we were in the same fight. And I've been on that revolutionary and communist tip ever since. And we're out here building this resistance. The U.S. government is committing crimes in our name because those tanks and bombs and planes that are dropping bombs on Palestinians in Gaza are bought and paid for by the U.S. And this is the U.S. using Israel as a key part of how it controls that crucial part of the world.
Not letting food in, not letting medicine in. People are starving. People are dying from illnesses that could easily be prevented except for the Israeli blockade.
And they created the state of Israel in 1948. And during this whole process over the past 60 plus years, the Palestinian people have been fighting for their self-determination and their liberation. And that's why we're out here today saying, free Palestine. The United States is giving Israel a ridiculous amount of money every single day, millions of dollars every day, to fund these massacres of the Palestinian people. We need to resist to that. And that's why we're here in the streets today, to let it be known that we're not going to accept U.S. involvement in this massacre. The U.S. government needs to know that there's people within this country who are opposing where all money is going. So that's what we're out here today in the streets of Harlem. We say from Harlem to Gaza, we're all Palestinians.
Palestine will never die. Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry. Palestine will never die. Palestine will never die. Palestine will never die.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry.
Well, as you can see, the fight goes on. But from Harlem to Gaza, Palestinians are fighting today, and they need their justice.